Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as things hit a new low. You feel like saying not again, don't you? Mainoo wants out of Manchester United. This was breaking news last night. Ornstein and Romano, the double act, confirming that Mainoo wants out. He wants to go on loan. He doesn't want to leave the project, but he wants to play football. He wants to go on loan. There's loads of things to get into on that. And to be honest, I only really want to get your opinion on it because it's your opinion that matters. It's so multi-layered in the sense of, should players be putting public stuff like this out? I don't like it. I like Mainoo. I don't like this. Publicly putting it out there is done to put pressure on the club, destabilise the club for your own benefit. The flip side of that is, where's the pathway to the first team? Should he be in the first team? Should we have sold Bruno and got 100 million quid and get, played Mainoo and Belabor? There's lots you can talk about, but ultimately I think problems at Man United continue. I also suspect there might be a more sinister background to this. I'm not actually totally convinced anymore that Man United wouldn't sell him. And look, I think I want to get your thoughts on it. Mainoo wants to go out on loan. He doesn't want to leave. It's not a transfer request. It's not what people were saying, but he wants out. And I just think it's pontificating publicly, which we need to stop at this football club. And I can't be inconsistent and say, because I like Mainoo, it's fine, but because I don't like Anthony, it's not. And when I say don't like, I mean as a player. Ultimately, Manchester United are the only football club that plays things out publicly. I know Newcastle have had it with Isak, but Isak's one of the best players in the world who wants to go and play for Liverpool. Why are Man United players all the time playing a public game with this football club? It's just, I blame the way the club is being run. It doesn't happen at other clubs. Even Trent, when he was running his contract down to go to Real Madrid, and we all knew he was going to go there, he wasn't publicly slagging the club off to make it feel like it was the right thing to do. So I'm not happy about it. But before we get into anything else, there's quite a few other bits to get into. Developments around Anthony. We had the Garnacho lose last night. I just want to say hello. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. I just want to say hello because I think what we do really well here is you get a media that we don't trust. And I'm not saying I don't trust David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano. They are the two best. They will have been briefed. They will know that Mainoo wants to go on loan, and I accept that. But then there's the next layer of journalism, which is basically speculation, opinion, and agenda. What I like about what we do here is that we delve beyond the story. So what I feel this morning is distracted. And I think this is the biggest news. I think this is the breaking news. I think this is the real news. We are being distracted by a player that's not going anywhere, who will end up being like a new signing because he's going to stay, but was never going anywhere anyway. And his name is Mainoo. He was never going anywhere. And what are we doing in the last 3 days of the transfer window that are absolutely essential to our season? We need a goalkeeper, we need a midfielder, and we're talking about a midfielder that's not going to go anywhere. That's what Man United are doing in the transfer window, talking about Mainoo and whether he's going to stay or go. Spurs have just gone and bought Xavi Simons. Newcastle have just gone and bought Nick Voltemeda. Man United are in a story about Mainoo again. All week, it's been about Mainoo, who's a current Man United player who's not going anywhere if we don't want him to. That's what Man United are doing in the final days of the transfer window. And at the start of the season, when we spoke about, could we maybe finish fifth? I'm telling you now, my prediction of fifth, I want to reassess it. I'm not being sensationalist. I want to reassess it. I want to put us down to seventh. Because if the top four are Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle and Spurs are fifth and sixth. 100%. 100%. Like, they're better than us and they're buying better than us. They're better than us and they're active in the final days of the window. So just be careful of smoke screens. This Mainoo story actually benefits United's transfer policy because they don't need to let Mainoo go. They can let the story be Mainoo. They can sit there and go, at 8 o'clock on Monday night, this story's dead, the transfer window's dead, and we've got away with it. We're not doing anything in the window. Spurs and Newcastle are. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're our competitors for fifth place. It's a sham. It's a shame. It's a sham. All we're talking about is whether Mainoo's going to go, how long the manager's going to last. There's a bloody transfer window right in front of us. And I don't care whether Mainoo goes or Amrim gets sacked. We still need a midfielder and a goalkeeper. So why are we talking about Amrim being sacked or whether Mainoo's staying? Because we can talk about that on bloody Tuesday. But I tell you what, if I ran that business, I'd be like, I accept the toilet's broken. I accept we need to get some milk for tea. But we've got a bloody deadline to meet and we'll do that first. And there's a bloody transfer deadline to meet and it's 7 o'clock on Monday and we need a goalkeeper and a fucking midfielder and we're talking about sacking a manager or whether Mainoo's going to stay or go. Last time I checked, the manager can be sacked on Tuesday. Last time I checked, Mainoo's got a contract for 2 years plus one. We'll pick it up on Tuesday morning. Get on with the bloody transfer window. But we're not. We're doing the same dance we always do. And some of our fans are just as bad. They're on the dance floor too. Like, what are you doing talking about Mainoo and the manager? Leave it till Tuesday. We need to go and get a midfielder and a goalkeeper. And this noise just benefits the club. Are we getting a midfielder? Probably not. What happens to United without it? We're done. We're done. That midfield is not good enough. Not good enough at all. So I want to get into your thoughts, but I wanted to get that off my chest. I'm watching, because I do That's Football, because like you, I watch football beyond Man United. I'm seeing clubs rushing at, apparently Spurs might sign Semenyo, Xavi Simons and Ake in the next 3 days. This is a team that's already better than us that we think we're going to finish above. You got no chance. We are not prepared for this season at all. At all. And that goes beyond the manager. We have absolutely dropped the ball. If Sir Jim Radcliffe's a real Man United fan, he's got to be holding a big meeting right now saying, what the fuck is going on? Why am I wasting my time here with you lot? What have you done in this transfer window? Why did you spend £125 million on 2 number 10s when you already had 4? You've got no midfield. You've got no goalkeeper. I love Mbeumo. I love Cunha. But you've got Mount, Xerxes, Ahmad and Bruno. And you've bought 2 more. And you've got no midfield. And you've got no goalkeeper. Who thought this was a good idea? I want to know. I want to know. You know, I really, really do. Anyway, let me just read you the some of the bits that are coming in this morning, and then I'm going to get into your thoughts. So, Mainoo has told Man United he wants to leave on loan in search of regular minutes in a World Cup season. The club wants him to fight for his place and will not sanction a move. Mainoo wants to leave, but United want him to stay, says Simon Stone, and fight for his place. And they say they value him highly. Mainoo still loves the club, says Romano. He doesn't want to leave permanently or leave the project. United told Mainoo no loan or permanent transfer. They need to find a solution. Probably the smart solution here is to play him, but I'm not a Man United manager, says Fabrizio Romano. Mainoo has received calls from over 15 clubs asking for a loan deal. That's from Romano as well. So look, just picking up on all that sort of stuff there. Mainoo wants to go on loan because he wants to play. Man United are saying, stay and fight for your place. I've got to say, I've made my mind up. I want to see Kobbie Mainoo playing for Manchester United, but also you've got to back yourself, mate. There's something going wrong if you're not getting into this team. So I don't get why you would put it out there that you want to go on loan, but you don't want to leave. The club have put it out there that they value you highly and you don't want you to go, but they want you to work harder. There's something not right here. There's just something not right. Why are we playing this out publicly? Like, I know there's going to be a load. I mean, who's not? There's going to be loads of clubs that would love to take Mainoo on loan. I mean, it's a bloody freebie. Aston Villa will take him. You know, there's loads of clubs who will take Mainoo on loan. I don't really get it. Like, at some point, you've got to self-reflect. I don't know anything about Mainoo. You know, I think he conducts himself really, really well in comparable to someone like Garnacho. But I don't really know. And, you know, we obviously are speculating, but from the outside looking in, you're very close to that starting team. Casemiro's in and out. Agate's not playing very well. Bruno's under pressure. So if you're performing in training, are you really telling me that Amrim's going, you're not playing? I mean, that's just ridiculous. So if you're good enough, you're going to play. So be good enough. Like, it's not like you're at Real Madrid and you've got no pathway into the team. There's multiple positions you could get into if you're good enough. This is the worst Man United midfield in Premier League history. and you want to leave on loan to get in the England World Cup squad. It doesn't make sense. Our midfield is shit. This is one of the best places in the bloody Premier League to be at if you're a midfielder and you're good. Like, there are two positions there. Stop getting locked in on Bruno. You could take Casemiro's position very, very easily. So something just doesn't add up to me here. It's like, you don't want to leave. You want to go on loan to get in the World Cup squad. And this is the worst Man United midfield ever. Like, it's just so obvious that if you're good enough, you'll get in. And that's still a question mark, by the way. I rate Mainoo very, very, very highly. I thought he did quite well against Grimsby. Some people thought he was shit, but I don't think he set the world on fire, and it was Grimsby. So I do think there's a balancing act here where you've got to ignore player power, player FC, manager FC, and look at it in a balanced way. Mainoo wants to play football. Romano says the way to get him happy is to play him. We can't have that, Fabrizio. I'm sorry. Obviously, you've got some good information from the players' side, but as fans of Man United, we can't just say, oh, you're threatening to leave, let's put you in the team. Like, that's not how it works. You're good enough to be in this team, get your head down and get into the team. We're only 3 games into the season. We've just lost to Grimsby. His chances of starting tomorrow now, I just don't know. I just don't know. But look, the worrying thing for me is I don't think that should be put out there. It doesn't help us. We've just been lost. Where I'm disappointed here is, and I will be very, very consistent, because everybody knows I'm a big fan of Mainoo and I want to see him starting and I want to see him staying, and I think the club do as well. But we've just lost to Grimsby. We're under huge, huge pressure, and he or his people around him have leaked to Ornstein and Romano that he wants to leave the club. Now, if that was somebody we didn't like and respect, that would be taken in a completely different way. If that was Paul Pogba a few years ago, it would be treacherous. Now, I'm not saying Mainoo is being treacherous, but the timing of leaking this to Ornstein and Romano is not the best. It just adds more pressure to the club, destabilizes the club. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of Mainoo, but I'm not a big fan of this, because I think it just feels like, it's trial by media again, isn't it? Amrim's under pressure. Let's put a little bit more pressure on him. I want to play more games. Let's try and play games through the media. Like, get your head. I'd be very interested to know what a Paul Scholes or a Roy Keane or a Gary Neville or a David Beckham or a Ryan Giggs thought about this. Very rarely do I think they have the superseding opinion over fans. But on this, I'd sort of go, I wonder what they genuinely, honestly do think about it. Because for me, I'm still old school in the sense that you respect the club above anything else. You might not respect the manager. You might not respect the owners. God, nobody does. But respect the club and the fans. We're getting a bit tired of players putting their own interests ahead of the interests of the club. We're losing what we're all about. Maybe this is a message to Amrim. Maybe it's a message to the Ineos. I don't know. Maybe Ineos tried to sell him in the summer and that's not out there. I don't know. There could be many reasons why Mainoo feels like this. But in leaking it publicly, I could get a phone call from someone close to Mainoo and say, look, off record, we've done it for this. And I'd go, I understand then, completely understand. And that there might be a really good explanation. But what I would say in return is, you do realise there will be backlash, though. Because if people don't know the context, all they're getting is another player publicly saying they want to leave United. And that won't go down with some people. It doesn't actually go down that well with me. I don't like it. We're under huge pressure. I put it like this, right? Go back a few hundred years. You're in your castle. You're being attacked by all sides, right? You go into war. Siege mentality. Everyone gets together and says, look, this is going to be difficult, but they're not breaching this castle. Let them throw their stones. Let them try. We're going to do really well. Then someone puts their hand up and goes, I don't fancy the fight. Can I leave? In fact, I'm going to join them. And that's what I feel like this is a little bit. We need a siege mentality, and someone's putting their hand up and going, I don't really fancy this. And we don't need that at the moment. We need just get your head down and get involved. That's my feeling. But then I just feel there will be a reason why this is happening. And I'm never, ever going to not say this. I am going to get into your comments. I'm never not going to say this. I wanted to sell Bruno. So if we'd sold Bruno in June, I think Mainoo is playing, another midfielder is here, and a goalkeeper's here. So look, hello, can I just say that Bruno should have been sold in June, 100 million quid. Mainoo's probably playing, another midfielder's here, and we've got a goalkeeper. That's United's biggest mistake. And I'm not afraid to say it. And I love Bruno, but he's being played out of position and he's going to leave in a year. And £100 million is transformative for this football club. Like, I don't know why somebody at the club didn't go, look, he's 31. He really did think about going anyway. We're playing him out of position, and £100 million at a time where we're hitting a reset would be perfect. I think we dropped the ball on that. And I'm always going to stand by that. And it could become more of an issue. Let me just grab some of your comments on this, because there's lots giving their opinion, and this is what it's all about, especially this morning. It sounds like Mainoo is jumping ship and can't handle the pressure. Do we need that character? Love the community, says Mike. Rohit says, we have all the deadwood, the good talents are gone. We are still with Maguire, Shaw, Bruno, Dalot, Casemiro, who have survived 4 managers. The core team is still not gone. Can't see us in the top half, says Rohit. I really want to be wrong about this, but the prediction I gave of 5th place was optimistic. I withdraw it. I want to be wrong, but I'm not taking any credit. You know, if we finish 5th, I am not going to say I told you so. Even though the clip is there, I'm not going to say I told you so, because I'm telling you something completely different. The way Spurs and Newcastle are acting and the way we're acting, forget it. Forget it. I mean, I don't think we'll even be in Europe next year. I think it's highly unlikely. We're miles and miles and miles off, and we're just not ready for this season. I knew we weren't ready for the start of the season, and hoped we would be ready after the international break, like we have been in the past when we brought in people like Ugarte and Amrabat and Casemiro and Anthony. You know, we made late signings. Where are they? We're not even going to do that. We're going backwards. We're not going forwards. We're going backwards. Stuck in reverse, as Coldplay once sang. Tony Marshall says, would it not be a win for Amrim if he switches formation? Tony, I'm sorry. I know it's a super chat, but the chat have already voted for this in the summer. I'm not doing another formation chat. Read 20 other comments about it. Mainoo is good enough to start, says Lazy. The problem is that he is an 8, but Amrim wants to play a 10 there, so he would play out of position as a 6, and people will have a go at him for not being a good 6, says Lazy. I think this is a great point. Mainoo plays where Bruno plays. A proper 6 plays where Casemiro plays. You're absolutely fine, but you've got to accommodate Bruno. It's true. It's absolutely true. And look, if you're Mainoo, you know, it is a World Cup year, and you do want to play, and you look at what I've just said there, and you go, I'm not going to play. He's going to play Bruno every bloody week. Desperate times lead for desperate measures. But I would still say, as much as I understand Mainoo's situation, if that's how he feels, there's 3 days left at the window, mate. We've just lost to Grimsby. Putting it out publicly that you want to go on loan, you know they're not going to let you go on loan. But I feel this is a prelude to something else. I don't think the timing of this is terrible, absolutely terrible, and it just destabilises a club I love. And I want a siege mentality. I don't want fractures. Man United are never going to let you go on loan. Never in a million years. So why have you put it out there that you want to go on loan? Is it publicity? Is it PR? What? I don't get why he's done it, because you're never going on loan. You've got such a low wage. There's no benefit to Man United. Saving 20 grand a week, no benefit. Getting a few million when we'd only have 3 we're never going to let you go on loan. So why have you put it out there that you want to go on loan? There's got to be another play, because it doesn't make any sense. If anything, you are going to be a bit unpopular with some fans, and anybody with a brain knows United will never let you go on loan. So I don't get the real point. I think it's a step towards something else. Is it a pressure move? Is it sort of like, well, you've said you want to leave. If you don't want to be here, we'll sell you. Maybe Mainoo's people are saying, look, we can't do the transfer request. That's a step too far. What we can do is a tactical, we want to loan, but we love the club. Maybe the Man United will then sell us because we're not committed. I don't know where it goes. It's a bit of a weird drop in a way, but we cannot let Mainoo go at this late in the window. Not unless you're going to bring somebody in, transformative. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if somebody said you can have Wharton instead of Mainoo, or you can have Baleba instead of Mainoo, some people would do it. It would be a risk, but you could at least understand a little bit. But you can't let him go on loan. I'd gladly take 7th, but the way things are now, we'd do well to get 10th, says Adam. We're the only club in the world football that constantly airs its dirty laundry. I think this is a great point from John. No leadership from the CEO or Ineos, just distraction tactics. Why haven't they come out with clarity and direction? I think this is a great comment by John. And I actually think that there's been a lot of patience and a lot of time for Sir Jim and the CEO and Wilcox over the summer, but they've got to learn from the Bundesliga. And obviously, I'm learning a lot more about the Bundesliga by doing the live games on a Friday night. You can watch tonight on That's Football. Do tune in. You can check out the highlights on That's Football. But I've always said this, even before we got Bundesliga rights, the way that Dortmund and Bayern and other clubs are run, their CEO or sporting director speak more than the manager. Like, they actually front up and they are PR trained. They do talk about transfers. And I just think at United, Jose said it. And I'm sad to see that last night we've lost 2 ex-managers to sackings, by the way. Solskjaer and Mourinho sacked. I thought Ollie was doing well at Besiktas, and I thought in context, Fenerbahce were doing well with Mourinho. But anyway, Mourinho said it himself when he was at Man United. You are the CEO, the owner, the director of football, and the manager, because no one else will talk. And God, do we need strong leadership? And do we have it? Well, Ganacho's social media activity was poor, but incredibly sad. Our 2 best future projects felt they needed to leave the club. Losing our way, says Paul. All this around Mainoo is about his contract and wage, says JR. Look, what I would say is you're never going to bully your way into a Manchester United team under Ruben Amorim or Jose Mourinho. There are certain managers where going public saying you want to go on leave or you want to start or you want to go on loan, you're never going to do it. This is what I mean. The worrying thing about this Mainoo thing is the power play that it is. It's a public power play, and I hate it. I hate our dirty laundry being put out there for the public. If you're the manager at Man United and your player who you value and are basically saying you've just got to show me more, if they then go, I'm not going to get my head down and show you more, I'm actually going to put it out there that I want to leave on loan. As a manager, what are you going to do? If you're the manager of the club and you've said to this player, I really value you, I just need a bit more from you, and then you're going to be playing. And then you wake up and it's like Ornstein and Romano, he wants to leave on loan because he wants to play more football. Are you going to call him in and go, sorry, mate, I'm really sorry. I didn't, I was trying to get you to work harder because I'm the boss. And because you've gone public, you can play. I just don't think that's how this plays out. I think it's a prelude to something else. I think it's a first step to something else. I don't think this, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think this resolves itself the way I think it will. I want it to. I did say Onana is going to destroy the whole team morale with his mistakes. Look, all this situation could have been avoided if they signed the new Premier League worthy goalkeeper, says Marion. It's interesting, Marion, because Ibrahim normally comes in with a super chat and says things like, Ineos have bought Man United, breaking news from Samuel Luckhurst, or Manchester United have just signed Manuel Ugarte from PSG, breaking news from Samuel Luckhurst. We haven't got any, he's taking the piss at how slow and he doesn't have any sources. But there actually was a story from him overnight about, it could have been written by Ibrahim as a piss take, but it actually is from the journalist. And it was Man United players are gradually losing more and more confidence in Onana and Bienda. Yeah, really? Why didn't we lead on that? That confidence in Onana went about Christmas time. This is not breaking news. There's no gradual loss of confidence in Onana. It's been gone since Santa emptied his sack. Like, this is like, it was March when we broke it that Wilcox and Onana and Amorim want him out. The players have wanted him gone a lot longer than that. They do like him, but they've got no confidence in him. They think he's shit. And there is no redemption for Onana with those players. They've actually had, they take the shit because he fucked up on Wednesday night. So that's not breaking news. It's slow sports news. That Mainoo knows Bruno will not be dropped and he is not CDM, so he's not competing with Ugarte. Amorim is a poor manager, says Andrew. Well, the flip side to that coin is, Andrew, why has he put it out there publicly that he wants to leave Man United? I think it's a poor move on both sides. I think Mainoo should be playing ahead of Bruno. But I don't think Mainoo should be doing that publicly either. I think, I don't live in a world where I I have to deal in absolutes. I think more. I'm not saying who's more to blame, but I think there's blame on both parts there. And also, ultimately, I also come from a world where, and it's a different world now, when you don't get what you want, you work harder. Life's not fair. So if somebody's got something that you deserve, I don't go moaning and, ringing up the newspapers. I work harder. I work on why I might not be there. I get my head down and I work hard. I don't go publicly, I need to leave. So, look, I'm a dinosaur, aren't I? But I wish that was the way it was. I don't agree with it. And also, I watch Bruno. He's playing shit. If Mainoo's so good, I don't believe that Amrin wouldn't pick him if he was miles ahead of him. So, and he wasn't miles ahead of him on Wednesday night, was he? We were a better team when Bruno came on, and Mainoo was a better player when Bruno came on. So I just think it's just get your head down, work hard, and prove everybody the talent that you've got. Don't be dropping this 3 days before the bloody window closes. But I'm telling you now, I've played the game. This is not about, I want to go on loan, because United won't loan him. And by going public, he's just damaged his chances with Amrin. So have we got another power play from a player with the manager like we've had before? And if we have, it's not again time, isn't it? Sean says no, because as you've said, he is more attack-minded yourself. And if Amrin said you're competing for Bruno's spot, Bruno gets subbed, says Sean. I'm not surprised that we don't have a midfielder or a goalkeeper. This will get Amrin sacked, as well as his inability to tweak some of his principles, says Will. Mainoo's been in and out of the squad for 2 years, had a poor injury record and poor 12 months. A cannabis product pulling on fans' heartstrings, says Cameron. Insufficient. Well, look, I'm going to run a poll on this. We'll run a poll on this. I should have done this at the start. Apologies. I just need to think about how to word it. We'll do it like this. Is Mainoo right to go public? We'll just do that. Okay. I'm worried about the potential Lemens transfer. It's a heavy shirt, and to be honest, never heard of him. We need experience like Martinez, who we can rely on, says Rob. It's interesting because somebody said to me, have you spoken to the person who you've had information from over the last few months? And I'm going to. I haven't spoken to them yet, so I'm not going to pretend, oh yeah, I've spoken to them, this, that and the other. I haven't, but I will. But the last I heard on Lemens is that he will sign for Man United, and that was after Šeško. I was told, I mean, it's right again, isn't it? I'd forgotten about this. So when we signed Šeško, or we were signing Šeško, I got told that Lemens will be the next deal. Obviously, there was all the story about Baleba, which never even got close. So it looks like that information is correct. Lemens will be the player. But I've always said Lemens could have been a Man United player on Monday. Like, it could have been a signing on Monday. But I've always feared that we're going to drag this out till next Monday so that there's no time to get a midfielder. And then you announce a goalkeeper on Monday and you don't get a midfielder. It's a classic United tactic when they haven't got the money to do the deals they need to do. So I think Lemens will sign, probably at the expense of a midfielder now. But I have this heavy heart feeling that there's something major going to happen around Mainoo, and I hope I'm going to be wrong. Secondary to that, great point about the goalkeeper. When you look at the treatment of Dorgu in his first 3 months, when you look at the treatment of Agate in his first few weeks, do you think we've got a fan base that's patient? Do you think we've got a fan base that when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, they're going to go, it's fine, he's young, let's bed in like we did with De Gea? You're right. And again, have United read the room on that? Do United genuinely test the temperature of their fans when they're bringing in younger players? I think we need more Cunhas and Mbeumo's, not more, Rasmus Højlunds and people like that who are potential, and Dorgu's. I like those signings, but I don't think we've got a fan base that's capable of being that patient. Did you see his tweet this morning that the agents of Garnacho and Kobe was plotting during the Europa semi? I don't know what tweet that is. Chelsea have added Wharton to their list, according to Ben Jacobs. Get your fingers out, Jim, says Lars. This is what's going to happen, mate. You've got 6 clubs in the Premier League and the Champions League with Champions League budgets, and United think they can wait for Baleba and Wharton. We won't even be in the Champions League next year. We're Manchester United in name. Like, we're not going to be able to just wait and get Belaber and Wharton next summer because we want them. Other clubs will move. Look at Arsenal's summer transfer window is incredible. They had a brilliant first 11 and they basically built an 18-man squad of brilliant players. Anyone who thinks Martinez is a guarantee and safe pair of hands get their ball knowledge from FIFA, says TBH. Play 2 strikers, Bruno in the 10, Mainoo and Agate in the midfield, keep the wing backs and 3 in defenders, says Rob D. Dean says, I love Mainoo as a player. Didn't want him to go, but he didn't take his chance on Monday night. Thank you, Dean. What brand are your glasses from TG in Slough? I think they're Prada. The devil wears Prada. They are Prada. That's why I got them. The devil wears Prada. If you know what United are. Onana is unpopular, but is that... Sorry, Connor, let me get the words out. Thank you very much for your super chat, Connor, by the way. He says, Onana is unpopular, but is it that Onana is bad or Onana was dragged down to United's level when he came to United? This guy played in the Champions League final and played well. Is our goalkeeping coach bad, says Connor? I can answer this question. And I can answer this question based on speaking to people like Ben Foster, Watto, former England goalkeeper, goalkeeping coach. I know other goalkeeping coaches as well, and I can see it with my eyes. He's not been dragged down to United's level. He's technically a crap goalkeeper. He can't get down to low shots. He can't come for corners. He palms the ball back into danger. That's not being dragged down to United's level. That's just being technically poor as a goalkeeper. And we should have known this before we bought him. I didn't know it. I didn't watch him enough to know that. Every time I watched Onana, I didn't really notice his shot stopping thing because I think you have to watch him in a number of games to see that. What I did notice was that he was quite good with his feet. And you'd expect that having been through the Ajax team. His distribution might be a confidence thing, but his actual technicality is just basic. I'm worried, says Rob, I've done that one. Don't know what tweet you're on about, Glenn. I'd like to know what that tweet is. Sebastian says, this is all about Mainoo, wants a better contract for next season. Cute of the kitchen lady, says Rashid. How do we believe and how do we players believe if it looks like Amrim doesn't believe? Damaging post-match. Does Amrim know it's a complete reset, says Eugene? Well, I read something this morning that Man United are going to have a chat with Amrim on Tuesday and reassess the situation after the Burnley game. It never stops with Manchester United. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it'll be a quiet international break. Sometimes the September one is. In fact, it normally isn't. There's normally a lot of fallout about the transfer window and what next, etc., and a bad start to the window. So September's normally quite busy, especially on the 8 o'clock shows. It'll be incredibly busy if we've got to get a new manager. It's never quiet with Man United. I mean, 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve, they decided to announce that Ineos had bought United. So there's never a day off. I think that I think there's a lot of lies at the moment. I know for a fact that there is no player dissent. I know for a fact that the players are with the manager and they're not questioning tactics or systems. They're very disappointed. Confidence is low. Deja vu maybe, but they haven't just turned on Amrim. That's not happened at all. The biggest issue in that club, and it's genuinely true, is that Amrim has threatened to go before or offered to go before. And if he does it again, and he may well do it again, at what point as an owner do you say, look, we want you here, but why do you keep saying, do you want me to go? Because that, we obviously don't want you to go, but you keep offering up that you will go. And my concern with that would be, I've made a fucking huge mistake as a CEO or an owner, but if he doesn't believe he can do the job, how is anyone else going to believe it? And I think that becomes a problem. But Ineos will not want him to go, because if they do, you look at that first 18 months of Ineos, it's an absolute car crash. Like, everything's gone wrong. In fact, we're worse. We're a lot worse than we were. We were better off under the Glazers. Nobody should say that, but technically it's true. We were better under the Glazers than we are under Glenios, yeah, which is mad. Like, how can that be? It's a bit like, what? Man United with Ineos is a bit like Man United without Bruno. You think it's bad with Bruno in the midfield, and then you drop Bruno and it actually unfathomably gets worse. Now, maybe if it was just Ineos and no Glazers, we might be better. Maybe that's the problem. If we'd sold Bruno and took the 100 million and had a proper pre-season, maybe we'd be better. But right here, right now, you take Bruno out the team, we're worse. And, you know, you put Ineos with the Glazers and we're worse. So it's weird. Can you call my mate Liam a prat? He says Onana had a bad game, but he's a good goalkeeper. He's more than a prat, Liam. Get him to the doctors. Get yourself to the prat doctors. Mainoo has been told he's fighting for Bruno's place. Is he honestly going to get many games? Says Daz. Well, he should do. 5 a.m. US time, Mark. First day of school, so story time. You're up early. What if Cobby has been told he'll play cup games, says Liam? Well, he should have played better on Wednesday then. I'd play 2 holding midfields in Cobby and Agate with Bruno ahead in a 10 and play front 3. Well, we're not, Nicky, I can't talk about formation changes. It's not going to happen. He won't play, so why does it matter if he goes? Let him play someplace else, develop and get into the World Cup squad, says Rory. Oh, yeah, Rory, sometimes you drop really intelligent things and sometimes I question you. So let's let Mainoo go and leave ourselves with a past-it midfielder, a number 10, and a midfielder that's got no confidence. So we'll let Mainoo go on loan. We'll give somebody else a lottery ticket, and we will go through this season with a weaker midfielder than a weak midfield. You know, it's like, we can't let him go. It's absolutely stupid. We've only got 4 midfielders. Who's the worst goalkeeper, Onana or Ray Carroll? Take your pick, MA. I'd say Onana. United is a sinking ship, so everyone wants to get off. If you sell Bruno, you're probably doing him a favour. It's a lot of pressure. Mainoo is good on the ball, but he isn't a hard worker as playmaker. Would you do a swap deal, Yeoman and Mainoo? Says Scott Palmer. It won't happen. We've known for a few weeks Cobby wanted to leave. It's not breaking news, says Jason. Well, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to go on loan, and that's breaking news in the last last 24 hours. Mainoo going on loan is good for all parties, says Rami. Goalkeeper has to be priority. Alice and Donnarumma have bailed their clubs out when they play badly. Rami, I've just got to go back to that. How the hell is it good for all parties to loan Mainoo? Like, we've only got 4 midfielders. How is it good to loan Mainoo? We're not Real Madrid, who've just won the Champions League and the Premier League with a squad of 50. No, it's not a good idea. Have we got a press conference today? Yes. Yes, we will be reacting to that at around 1:45. It'll be very interesting. If Mainoo left, our midfield would be a 10. That's an ageing midfielder and a barely average 6. The fact he hasn't got a single Prem minute, says Haider. I think, look, I've done the preview. Check out the preview. I've got him starting the game tomorrow against Burnley. I don't know whether I have now. And that's mad, isn't it? Like, I genuinely think he would have started tomorrow with Bruno. I don't know whether he will now. How on earth did you lose to Grimsby, says Robert Robotic? We'll check it out. Ruben does not seem the type of manager who puts his hand around a player, tells them it's going to be okay. Younger players need that. Mainoo needs it, says Trishan. In my opinion, Cubby has been advised by his agent to push for a loan and wait out Amram's reign. It's clear they don't think the manager will last. The club undo the loan at any time when Amram is gone, says Josh. I tell you what, that's not actually a bad call. It's a good call, actually. It's a very, very good call, because what you're basically saying is that you don't really want to leave Man United, so don't put a transfer request in, but you don't want to play for this manager, so you want a loan, and you'll come back when he's gone. I mean, that's player power. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it, but that's player power. We're meant to be moving away from this. That's putting your own interests ahead of what. So what are we supposed to do as fans? You piss off for a little bit and wait for him to get sacked, and we'll endure it, and then we'll have another manager and we'll start again and hope that when you come back you'll be good enough for him. I don't like that, but you might be onto something. I hope you're wrong, Josh. It's a theory, but I don't like that theory, because I want players that are going to bust a gut for Man United. I mean, this whole arm round the shoulder shit. You're living a privileged life. You're earning, all right, 20 grand a week is laughable for a Man United player, but it's still 20 grand a week. It's still more than any of us are earning. It's massive amounts of money. And I want players that are just dedicated to the club through thick and thin. I don't want players that go, it's not going my way, I want out, and then I'll come back when it does. It's a mentality thing again, isn't it? But that's only if Josh's theory is true. If he wants to leave, let him go. Prima donna. Players shouldn't be here, such as Mainoo. He couldn't even beat a Grimsby midfield, says Trey. Definitely split in opinion. And that's why I don't think it was a good idea to put it out to Ornstein and Romano. I actually sympathise with Mainoo, says Paul. He has been told he needs to fight against the club captain, who isn't a midfielder, to start in the midfield. Yeah, but he's 20. He's 20 years of age. Why is he a definite 8? Why can't you be a 6? Why can't you be a right wing back? Like, Paul Scholes didn't start where he ended up. Like, just, you're 20 years of age. Just get in the team. Can't be demanding a certain position. If you're good enough, get in the team. The club said everyone is up for sale. This is the kickback. Loyalty has been battered by the players and the management, says Anthony. Mark, you've sacked people. Why not Ruben Amorim, says Sully? Because it's never worked. It sounds like Mainoo's jumping ship, says Mike, and can't handle the pressure of United. I've done that one from Mike. I'm just catching up on some of these. If there's one smart person in Man United board, go to Portugal and sign Costa. Kid from Belgium is not going to help us for once. Act like a football club, says Nick. Harry says, I'm having trouble watching any of your videos on That's Football because of my VPN and location, but I'm in the UK and don't use any help. Says that. Okay, let me get that sorted. I'll do that for you now. It's probably because of the Bundesliga thing last week, mate. So it's probably just been left on. Andrew says, I think he wants more minutes because of the World Cup. And Lee Galdart says, we can chastise Garnacho, Rasmus or Cobby's unfulfilled potential, but that iconic picture reveals we failed them, weak discipline and a toxic culture. Heartbreaking to see, says Lee. One of my mates got that picture for Christmas last year, framed, because it's an iconic picture. And I think it's now become an iconic picture of the problem of Manchester United. You're right. Whatever you think about Rasmus, Garnacho and Mainoo, they sat on that advertising board smiling with a future at Man United, focused on that future. Over a year later, and it's in tatters. And whilst we can all blame them, it's a bit of a coincidence that 3 separate personalities have all ended up out of this football club. But you have to look at the failings of what's gone on. In that period, we've sacked half the workforce. In that period, we've announced that we're going to leave Old Trafford. Like, there is a culture that goes beyond the players, of course there is, and they may well be, victims of those symptoms. It'll be difficult to get full value for him now, says David, and that annoys me as well. Look, Garnacho goes for 40 million. He's a 60 million pound player. Mainoo goes for what, 40 million? Again, he was a 60 million pound player. We're devaluing these players as well. Is it really surprising that Cobby wants out when he sees how out of favour players have thrived after leaving? Alanga, etc., says the streets will never forget. Well, it is surprising, yeah, because I go back to what my point was before. Why are players... Look, I don't like the owners. You might not like the manager. But what have we done as fans, and the name Manchester United and the statue of Sir Bobby Charlton? Why do people go, I don't fancy this? You're at the wrong fucking club anyway, then, aren't you? Cunha and Burmo came to Manchester United over Champions League clubs because they wanted to come to Manchester United. They might regret it now they see what it's like, but they wanted to come and play for Manchester United. That's what we need. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what we need. So I haven't got any sympathy with anybody that goes, I don't fancy this fight. I fancy something else that might be a bit easier. Because as a Man United fan, why would you ever understand that? I understand the club's being run into the ground. I understand it's hard, but it's Manchester United. That's like me saying to you lot, I understand if you go and watch Robbie on AFTV and support them from now on. I understand it because we're shit. No, you're not going to do that because it's your club. And unfortunately, it seems like we've got more and more players that actually act on their own benefit and not that of us. the fans and the club. We're not getting top 10 with goalkeepers we have, says Liam. If we don't get a goalkeeper, I'm debating watching United anymore, says Like Schofield. Once again, says Patrick, always the voice of reason. Patrick Lynch says, once again, the club has mismanaged the summer window. Once it closes, that's it. History has shown we don't buy in January. This squad isn't capable of getting into Europe as it stands. Hear, 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 hear. Can we do a deal with Brighton and Mainoo, says Andy Atherton? Well, that's a deal I think we'd all do, because that's a deal we all spoke about a very long time ago. A very long time ago. So you're a hypocrite if you can't do this deal now. Loaning Mainoo to Brighton and bringing Baleba in return would be a gold standard deal. That's where it works. If you loan Mainoo to somebody and get something better in return for a year, and Mainoo gets development for a year, I ain't got a problem with it. I haven't got a problem with it at all. But I don't think that's the play, because why is Mainoo putting it out? Like, Man United gone, Cobby, make us look stupid by saying you want to leave and go on loan, and then we'll get what we want. I would absolutely 100% say, Palace, do you want Mainoo for a year on loan as part of a Wharton deal? Or Sporting, do you want Mainoo on loan as part of a Yulmland deal? Or Brighton, do you want Mainoo on loan as part of a Baleba deal? Of course I would, because we can bring him back and he'll play every week. I would do it, but I don't think that's what it's all about, unfortunately, as much as we probably would love it to be. The bomb squad must go, and then at least 5 more. Let Amrim clean the deck and steady the ship, says Marlow. It's going to be a very, very challenging season, isn't it? And I think you're going to have to pick a side and stick with it. And I think there's going to be a lot of debate and there's going to be a lot of argument. But ultimately, I do agree with Marlow. I'd rather be working towards a better future, accepting that it's going to get worse before it gets better, than trying to just keep doing what we're doing, which is reset, reset, reset. And it's just not working. And the only reset I will buy into is a reset of ownership, which we're not going to get. I don't want to see another reset, because it's never a reset. If somebody, I was thinking about this last night, actually. It's a fair point. If somebody said to me, Ruben Amorim leaves next week, Antonio Conte comes in, the club say to Conte, any player you want to get rid of is gone, drop them into the reserves for the rest of the season, they're gone, and there's £500 million to start building. I probably would say, let's give it a go. But the next manager that comes in will have to use Delo, he'll have to lose Luke Shaw, it'll be the same shit. It'll be the same new hope with the Empire Strikes Back following it. See what I did there, Star Wars people. But we are a Star Wars trilogy. New Hope, and then the Empire Strikes Back. And the Empire is the shit that's been dragging us down for years. So you'll bring a new manager in, there'll be a load of New Hope, and it will last, a couple of months. And then the real problems will strike back because they won't be removed. And that's Manchester United, the Disney Channel. It's all fantasy. And New Hope is better, but Empire Strikes Back, no, shut up. Empire Strikes Back's way better, Ladius. Wash your mouth out. And you're a bloody mod. You're on thin ice. A New Hope's good. Empire Strikes Back's better. It's more real. Just on the poll that we've got running, is Mainoo right to go public? 56% say no, 44% say yes. Welcome to 2025, where undermining your superiors for your own selfish needs is actually seen as okay. All the signings seems to make chances for themselves. Where's the selfless character type, says Sir J.K. Worthing? Amrim better succeed. He has no other choice, says Keel. Why does everyone saying Amrim out? He didn't get the transfers he expected, and he's trying something and he can do wonders, but keep trusting him, says Nalim. Indie Bomber, says Josh. Well, let's go and have a look at what the Indie Bomber is, because I read one of his tweets this morning and it had about 5 different spelling mistakes. So for somebody that's looking for credibility in the industry, you'd think they'd use a spell checker, but let's have a look. But it's not from him, it's from the Mirror. It's from the Mirror. Mainoo tells Man United he wants to join Napoli permanently. I mean, if Indicator is so credible, why is he quoting the Mirror? I don't know. I don't know. We move on. What about Stiller? Great passing, holding midfielders is Lauder. The problem with Stiller is that Voltemade plays for Stuttgart. You're talking to a Bundesliga expert now. Voltemade plays for Stuttgart. They've just let him go with 3 days left in the window. Their fans are furious because the club said they weren't going to let him go, but he has gone for a lot of money. So they're not about to let Stiller go for a cheap price. Now, it's very similar to Wharton at Palace. You know, you're not going to get a bargain for Wharton now that Ezzy's gone. Why does everyone saying Amrim out? He didn't get done that from Nalim. What about Stiller done that one? Asking Mainoo to compete with Amrim's golden boy Bruno and prove himself isn't good talent management, says One Inch Wonder. Seems more complex than we think. I see a kid with a bright future, loves the club, but is worried after some early career momentum that he's becoming irrelevant. In a year he could establish himself as a future England mainstay. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. But life's not fair. And you either put the transfer request in or you don't. I think this is a halfway house. I want to go on loan because I don't want to leave. I'll stay if I'm going to play. It's having your cake and eating it, isn't it? You want to leave and you want to play, but you don't want to say you want to leave because it's not a good look for somebody that loves the club. So you want to go on loan, but the club won't loan you. You don't feel that you're going to get time if you stay. Look, I'd say what I said at the start. I don't want Mainoo going anywhere. I want Mainoo to play for Manchester United. I think he's got to step it up. He's got to work harder. But if he doesn't want to take that risk, if he thinks staying at Man United and working harder might backfire and he could go somewhere else and get in the England squad, put a transfer request in, mate. Simple as that. The loan deal doesn't work. But my advice would be, you're better than Bruno. Prove it. You're better than Bruno as a midfielder, I believe. Prove it and you'll get it. You will get it because he is not a midfielder and he's never going to be a midfielder. And if you can't dislodge Casemiro or Bruno from that midfield, then maybe you're not as good as you think you are. Because trust me, you will dislodge them because they're going to cost us games. They're going to cost us games. They already have. Bruno cost us a game last week. Maybe the reason Mainoo wants a loan move is because he's been informed that United's going to sign a new midfielder, says Arnold. Hope so. Look, this can go good, this can go bad. And that's what I mean. My constant is I like Kobbie Mainoo. I don't want him to go. I think he's got the right personality. I don't like us being played in public because we're in a really low position and we need to be in a siege mentality. Best case scenario, he goes on loan somewhere where we bring someone else in and they're better than him and he gets to play first team football. Worst case scenario, we don't bring anybody in and this just leads to more cracks and fractures in the team, and we've been down that road before. Lookies, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining the Members Club. You're an absolute legend. I really appreciate you for doing that, getting your badge in. Is there an 8 o'clock show tonight? No, I will be live at 6 because we've got live Bundesliga action on That's Football. So, we'll be live for that. Obviously, we'll go live if anything else happens. I mean, there is a lot of stuff sort of ready to go. I think Rasmus to Napoli will happen very, very soon. Loan obligation to buy. And I think that Anthony to Betis is getting closer. Who knows what's happening with Sancho? Malacia is apparently heading off to Elche on loan. So the bomb squad is nearly gone. I mean, don't know what Sancho's going to do. Apparently he's planning on taking a year out. Off to Thailand and Australia and just backpacking and because I don't know. I don't know. I don't like talking about Sancho. I find it really, really boring. What a waste of a talent, really. Arsenal have signed yet another player this transfer window. Man United is still sitting around, so slightly mouldy cheese. Well, as I said at the start, the real story for me is that we're sat here spending so long talking about the manager, talking about Mainoo. The manager is the manager, and Mainoo is a current Man United player. While we're talking about infighting again, there are clubs like Spurs signing Xavi Simons, trying to get Semenyo, Newcastle getting Wizza and Voltemade. Our rivals, not even the top 4 rivals, our rivals for currently 5th and 6th are strengthening whilst we're arguing about weakening. And that's a lesson again, isn't it? What was the great philosophy I came up with yesterday? I've completely forgotten it. Hopefully it'll get registered in the annals of history. But it's not rocket science. If your rivals are getting stronger whilst you're getting weaker, what's going to happen? you're going to lose the battle. You're going to lose the battle. It's as simple as that. And that's what's happening. It's sad to see, but we're debating about whether we're going to keep Mainoo. We already had Mainoo. So our big win on Monday night is that Mainoo hasn't left. Well, he was already here. Everyone else is buying players. So, you know, it could all be a smokescreen anyway. You know, that new contract could still get signed like a new signing. Many of us have been hinting at that for a very long time. Polina would have been perfect, says Nathan. Mainoo probably knows that Amrim can't risk giving him minutes because we look really bad without Bruno. He's been absolutely average too, says Arctic. I feel there's another development here. And I wouldn't rule out, and I think this is really important to say, I wouldn't rule out that Man United have tried to sell him at some point over the last 6 months. I genuinely don't have that information, but I just feel there's something else going on here. And you've got to also think that it can't be badly thought out. When it goes to Ornstein and Romano, it's got to be planned. And I just feel that there's something else. I feel like Man United might have tried to sell him. Not Amrim. I think Man United might have tried to sell him. I'm speculating here because I don't want to think bad of Mainoo, but I just feel there might be something. There might be something that's, you know, got his backup as well. That's not public knowledge. I mean, it's speculation. It's speculation at the end of the day. I don't think Man United would want him out on loan, Lance. I really, really don't. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in this morning. Make sure you take care. We've got the Amrim press conference to react to as well. That'll be coming out. And obviously, if anything else happens, we will be live for that too. Appreciate all your comments this morning. Looking forward to speaking to you again later. Remember, it'll be about 6 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock tonight. And I'll speak to you in a bit. Take care. We have got a press conference, Kunaz. Yes, it's. I've already answered that about 4 times. Let's hope it's Brighton, Believer, and Lone Cobby, James. But, you know, let's wait and see. Thanks for watching.